Thank you. If you could come to order, please. Sorry for the delay. Clerk of the Board, would you kindly call the roll?
Freeholder Carter.
Present.
Freeholder Estrada.
Present.
Freeholder Hudak. Freeholder Jallo. Freeholder Kowalski.
Here.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Present.
Freeholder Wright.
Present.
Vice Chairman Granados. And Chairman Bergen.
Here.
Chairman, you have 6 freeholders present.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Would you kindly lead us in prayer and salute to the flag?
Humbly we ask God, the giver of peace and the lover of charity, to give the entire family of nations true agreement with his will, and to grant the light of his Spirit on all who work for justice and peace. Amen.
Clerk, would you kindly read the Statement of Compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act?
The chair wishes to announce that pursuant to the requirements of New Jersey statutes annotated Title 10, Chapter 4, Section 10 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting of the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Union has been given by mailing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2017, along with periodic changes necessitated by circumstances, to the newspapers circulating within the County of Union who are designated to receive such notice, and by posting the annual meeting schedule for the year 2017 in the Administration Building, and further by filing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2017 with the Office of the County Clerk.
Thank you. I'd now like to call Freeholder Mirabella to the front to make 2 presentations tonight. Freeholder.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It's really an honor for me to be here to present these 2 resolutions to 2 people I respect very much, who fortunately I had the opportunity to work with when I was a councilman in Roselle Park. I also had the great pleasure of being the fire commissioner for all 6 years I was a councilman. And between mayors, I always asked them to be in a position to be the fire commissioner. And it was a delight to work with this fire department. We have 2 gentlemen who've reached 50 years of service in the fire department. And I want to call up Bob Della Rosa and Bob Stevens. And if Chief Signorella, this is over 100 years of dedication to Roselle Park, walking up here.
Don't look a day over 40.
I don't want to say anything to you guys, but I do want to tell you that I was 2 years old when you joined the fire service. So I want to. So is Lynn and Lori. I know they're out there. I want to also recognize you guys, and I want to present you with these resolutions from this board. I had the great pleasure of presenting these resolutions like this to other members of the Roselle Park Fire Department. It speaks to the dedication to the township and the borough of Roselle Park, and just the work that they do day in and day out. I want to thank the other firefighters who are here tonight supporting these 2 guys, and also want to recognize Mayor Hokinson, who's in the back. Thank you, Mayor, for being here too. So I have these 2 resolutions. I'm not going to read it, but you can trust me, they say a lot of good things about each of these guys. And I have a resolution here for Bob Stevens on his 50 years of dedicated service to the Roselle Park Fire Department. Congratulations, Bob. And for you, Bob Della Rosa, this is for you, 50 years in the fire service. Congratulations. I was reminded that volunteerism is the basic foundation of every good community, and that's not any different in Roselle Park or communities throughout Union County. And I know my colleagues on the Freeholder Board appreciate the work of our volunteers, appreciate the work of our firefighters to keep our community safe. And, you know, I'm just delighted. I think one of your children followed in your footsteps. Bruce is a firefighter, and Elizabeth. So, Bruce, thanks for your service. captain. And I was very fortunate. I almost felt like I partially grew up in the Stevens household on Union Road and was friends with all the Stevens. And I want to thank all the Stevens family and the Della Rosa family for being here tonight. Came from near and far away as Colorado and Roselle Park and some other places. So thank you all for being here. It's a pleasure. So I know, was that?
I said all over the state.
All over the state. It's wonderful. It's great to have you all together. Bob, do you want to say a couple words?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
This Bob doesn't, but this Bob does.
You're welcome. First, I'd like to thank Ms. Bullock and the committee for setting up this evening to represent and honor us through the Freeholders. The second is something that's been long overdue, and that's to thank, pardon my back, all the Freeholders. For the past 10 years, you've honored members of Roselle Park with 50 years or more, and we thank you very, very heartily. And Al, to you, what can we say? Al was our councilman at large. He was our commissioner. He was our friend. He's still our friend. I thank you for your dedication to the first responders, both police, fire, and EMS. And mainly, I'd like to thank my wife, my sons, my grandchildren, my friends. Again, the mayor of Roselle Park, thank you for coming tonight. And my brother firemen that are here, I thank you so much. You were all part of this event. Thank you.
Chief, I know you have some presentations, and I want to give the microphone over to you, and we can finish this up.
So, Alan Swerz has done this 3 times in the past couple of years, like Chief Della Rosa said. The President of the United States is for volunteerism, of all the years of volunteerism. So we have some resolutions and some letters from President Barack Obama. This was done last year. So Lifetime Achievement Award to Robert Della Rosa and Robert Bo Stevens. So, and now Bob and Bo belong to Center Company, the ladder truck, and they have some presentations, Deputy Chief Thompson and some officers. So guys, come on up and we'll make the other presentation. So these don't have names on it, so Bob, if you want to just hold them, and the other ones actually have names on them. And this one's for Robert, and this is the Lifetime Achievement Award. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, and there's some pins. So Deputy Chief Thompson is going to make a quick presentation.
Thank you, Chief. I just want to, again, thank the Freeholders for having us here this evening and letting us honor our members tonight. This is my first time doing this, so if I stumble, you have to forgive me. But the members of Center Company would like to present to Mr. Della Rosa, Mr. Stevens, just a ceremonial watch for your 50 years of service. It's greatly appreciated, and we look forward to you being down here many more years.
Well, thanks very much. I do want to call the Stevens family, if all 100 of you can come forward. You want to take one picture here first? Yeah.
Just gonna do one. We'll do a bunch of pictures.
All right, Chief, come.
Just one sheet. Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Seems you never got a Christmas card from him, huh?
7 kids, then you got cable TV.
These guys are too much. These guys are too much.
Okay, guys, thanks. For the honorees. Stevens family. Come on.
Before they do, I want to thank you personally. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you
10
for
years.
congratulations. Thank you for your service.
It's good to see you again, sir.
Take care. Thank you.
It really is. Even bigger than my wife's family.
This is the De La Rosa family.
Okay.
Oh, Stevenson.
One more, okay? One more.
The $8 million from us.
Gotta have 6.
Oh, no, out.
3, 4. Beat 6.
Congratulations, what an honor.
So if I vote against this, I vote for you.
Then it's up to you. Absolutely. This is America. Congratulations. Thank you for your service.
Good to see you again, sir. The best always.
Thank you so much.
It's worth money.
Absolutely. It's one of those chips that you need to call in once in a while, right?
Yeah, I haven't used it.
This is one you could definitely use.
Okay.
By the way,
Where's the other family?
the local finance board did a privilege yesterday down there. Down in Trenton.
So we're at the skating rink today.
Okay.
It's very nice.
It's coming along well.
I gave Armando a few tookers there. I told Armando that to spend all the money, but areas where they have refrigerated chills and all the chills and all that.
Right. Do it all. Do it right. Do everything.
10 days since work done.
Yeah, I'm standing next to you, Sparky.
I shouldn't put it.
Come on, next to you. Next to your grandfather.
Since it's your favorite people's time.
That's an easy venture. Come on. Okay, great, thanks.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Presentations. Water service.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, freeholders, for your indulgence.
I only counted 30 voters over there. What's going on? Only 30. That's a big family, yes.
Came in from all over the country.
That's nice. That's nice. Terrific. God bless us. Good people. Reminds you when
Thank you, Freeholder Mirabella, and once again, thank you to our honorees. Certainly, Union County depends on our volunteers to make it such a great county, so thank you once again. We'll give them another couple seconds, then we're going to move on with the agenda.
See you, Chief.
Chief, take care.
Okay, the first regular order of business tonight is approval of communications. May I please have a motion in that regard?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Mirabella, seconded by Freeholder Carter. Clerk of the Board, please call the roll.
Freeholder Carter,
Yes.
Freeholder Estrada,
Yes.
Freeholder Kowalski,
Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella,
Aye.
Freeholder Wright,
Yes.
and Chairman Bergen.
Yes.
Chairman, you have 6 votes in the affirmative.
Thank you. The next order of business is an ordinance for adoption. Clerk of the Board, would you please read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance number 782-2017, an ordinance of the County of Union, State of New Jersey, authorizing the guarantee of the payment of, the principal of, and interest on, not to exceed $8 million aggregate principal amount of county guaranteed lease revenue bonds, Series 2017, Union County Family Court Building Project, Elizabeth, issued by the Union County Improvement Authority for the purpose of providing additional security therefore and determining certain other matters in connection therewith.
Thank you. As this is an adoption of an ordinance, I now open the meeting to the public for comment on this ordinance only. That's pending ordinance 782-2017. If there are any members of the public who wish to comment on this ordinance, please step forward, and please remember the 5-minute time limit.
Good evening, Chair Bergen, ladies and gentlemen on the Freeholder Board, Bruce Patterson, Garwood. This was an $8 million bond. It went in front of the Department of Local Finance Board yesterday, and they approved it. Just prior to that, I had sent some OPRAs over to the Union County government and the UCIA, which is the Union County Improvement Authority, asking for a lot of detailed backup of the change orders that are forcing this extra $8 million cost overrun of the family courthouse. And I'll tell you, the paperwork that I got, I reviewed it, and I sent a letter to the local finance board with a lot of my concerns, which they recognized the letter. They had to approve the bond only because of the expediency of trying to finish this project, which is now, I don't know, about a year and a half overdue. However, they said that the UCIA, my letter of concerns is now in the UCIA's lap to explain a lot of the issues that I raised. And I'm not going to go into the details, but roughly what it was, in looking at the expenditures, there's like misallocation of monies, there's duplication of monies, there's unsubstantiation of costs, they're rubber stamping costs without any detailed backup. It was extremely poor financial controls as we're hitting this overrun of $8 million. This right now is all alleged because it's in my letter. This is what I saw. The Union County Improvement Authority is going to have to respond to the local finance board, and then I'll see what their response is. But I'll tell you, it's a boondoggle, it's a travesty, wasted. When Freeholder Sullivan was a freeholder, he says, oh, the state made us build this. Well, they didn't make them build that building. I mean, the 4-story glass enclosed flying buttress roof, extremely expensive building. No, they wanted a court building. You guys, not you guys, but whatever, whoever's in control, just blew it way out of proportion. It was a cash cow for all sorts of people. Possibly, hopefully, a criminal investigation will actually come out of this. But anyway, who knows? That's only my guess. But the problem here is the people at the UCIA have no experience whatsoever. In fact, nobody has any experience that was involved. This Netta, who came on board as the architect, had no experience in developing a courthouse, and so we had major issues in design. He even admits that he had design issues. We're talking about the head of the UCIA, Director Sullivan. As soon as he came on board as the director, within months, the Union County Watchdog Association, John Berry is here, and I thank them very much. They find out he's pilfering like tens of thousands of dollars into his pocket without authorization. The right-hand person of the UCIA, Director Sullivan, is Linda Stender. She's the one that was caught with her husband, scamming Habitat for Humanity for a larger.
Mr. Patterson.
Tell me I'm saying something wrong here. Linda Stender caught with her husband,
Mr.
scamming the
Patterson,
Habitat for Humanities for a larger house
No
down the
personal
shore.
attacks. Talk about the ordinance if you like.
I'm talking about the people in control of the UCIA. I'll
Mr.
tell you right now, and
Patterson.
you guys basically embrace them. You embrace the criminality.
You're entitled to your
it's
opinion,
wonderful.
but
One big
no
happy kumbaya,
personal
dark-
attacks.
Okay, well, anyway, but that's my issues. One thing, I do have one question that somebody could answer, hopefully. And I'll send you my letter, by the way, so at least you have it in your possession. But the question is, in this request of $8 million, they mentioned about furniture costs. I saw nothing about furniture costs in that. If somebody could just explain if that $8 million really does include furniture costs, or what the furniture costs are, and are they going to be outside and asking for more money, or inside the original bond? But that's actually my question on that. But I made a lot of statements. Yes, I made some accusations that hopefully will be cleared up. But, you know, we got some major issues at the UCIA, and it happens when you're politically connected. Hey, what's a little criminality?
Mr. Patterson, talk about the ordinance only. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Sullivan, maybe you can answer the question concerning the furniture.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry I don't have a tie on tonight. The question of the furniture, if that's the answer, the state is paying for the furniture. They have their own contracts, and that's separate and apart from anything involving this ordinance. So, again, that's a responsibility of the state, and the state has paid the full cost of the furnishings in the building.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wishing to address ordinance 782-2017 only? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the meeting and ask for the chairman of the fiscal committee, Freeholder Mirabella, to please move the ordinance.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will move ordinance 782-2017 for final reading and authorize the clerk of the board to advertise that in accordance with the law.
May I please have a second?
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Mirabella, seconded by Freeholder Carter. Clerk of the board, please call the roll.
Freeholder Carter?
Yes.
Freeholder Estrada?
Yes.
Freeholder Kowalski?
Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella?
Aye.
Freeholder Wright?
Yes.
And Chairman Bergen.
Yes.
Chairman, you have 6 votes in the affirmative.
Thank you. We now move to that portion of the meeting where we will consider resolutions. I do want to make one comment, because I'm presuming there are a number of people in the audience who may want to speak about the issue of the mountain bike trails. I want to point out that resolution number 2017-237 does not pertain to those trails. That's actually approval of a sensory-friendly trail that is going to be built near the museum. So there is nothing in tonight's resolutions concerning the bike trail, so please hold your comments on that issue to the regular public portion at the end. That being said, if there are any members of the public who do wish to address any of the pending resolutions, please come forward, state your name, your municipality of residence, and please remember there is a 5-minute time limit, and please let us know which resolution you are addressing your comments to.
Yeah, John Burry of Kenilworth. I still wanted to go at 237. I thought it was a euphemism for fights, but what is a Century Trail? And this thing costs $650,000. And what's the length? Where is it going through? It seems like it's something, a trail in theory. What's it going to have that merits $650,000? Or where's it going through? Is it going through these people's backyards too? And just what is a Century Trail? Is that for blind hikers, or this is generally the whole thing looks kind of vague as far as describing what it does, what it is.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. Director Zuber, if you could address those questions concerning the sensory-friendly trail.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Freeholders, through you. A sensory-friendly trail, which we're proposing outside of the Trailside Nature Science Center, is for individuals who are sight impaired and also with autism. It is just like our sensory-friendly theater that we have, not a lot of loud noises, a lot of guide rails. There's going to be 2 talking informational sensory kiosks. There's going to be veneer seat walls, about 85 of them. There's going to be a lot of the furniture in the outdoor classroom is going to be fashioned after like logs and things like that. It's going to include balance beams, mushroom steppers, different types of drums, acorn seats, and it's all directed at kids with impairments.
Thank you. Any other members of the public who wish to address any pending resolutions?
Good evening, Chair Bergen, ladies and gentlemen of the Freeholder Board, Bruce Patterson, Garwood. We'll start off with some comments on page 2, number 220, contract to T&M, $49,600 for Meisel Park for ongoing LSRP, which is Hazmat Environmental Consulting. Just to point out, T&M donated $94,000 in 4 years to the Freeholders and their cronies' election campaigns. 222, Alamo is getting $85,000 for design, construction, administration, and inspection services. For an emergency generator, $13,000 he donated to the Freeholders and their cronies in 4 years. And that's an amazing, that generator, somebody's gonna have to tell me about the size of that generator. $85,000 for some kind of design. That doesn't even include the cost of the generator. Next one, Mazer Consultant, 223, engineering and design services for dam repair, $82,000. He has donated to the Freeholder in their campaigns, $18,000 in 4 years. Of course, Angela Estrada, Freeholder, will probably say, oh, it's all legal. Yeah, it certainly is in New Jersey. Number 225 on page 3. It's increasing a contract $85,000 to a not-to-exceed amount, $324,000 to National Fence. My question is, if it's not to exceed, then why isn't it just buried in the original not-to-exceed contract? Why do you have to increase the not-to-exceed contract unless you topped out, I guess? But anyway, that's my question. Number 227, that's interesting. You want to spend $295,000 for providing a hydraulic mobile trommel screen. I think that has to do with leaf composting and whatnot at the quarry. But my question is, I'm looking at the manager's budget this year, and it looks like the leaf composting revenue is actually going down from $262,000 to $250,000. So if revenues are going down, why do you want to spend almost $300,000? Unless I'm misreading this here, but somebody's going to have to explain why you want to spend $300,000. There better be an increase in revenue. 231 on the very bottom of page 3. Reappointing James Kennedy as Commissioner to the Union County Utilities Authority. Now this, as much as you guys love doing this, it's a conflict of interest. He's an assemblyman, and the authorities actually come under the purview of legislative committees. And as an assemblyman, he obviously is involved somewhere in the legislature, and therefore you should not be reappointing him. I suggest you say no on that. If anything, if you need somebody who's on top of everything, me. Number 237, again, that's the Century Trail improvement, $652,000. You probably are going to improve it. It's a wow number. I mean, these wow numbers. And some of it sounds like it's legitimate, but there's these logs, seats, and drums. It sure sounds like, why don't you get the DPW, Director Joe Graziano probably can get his men involved and probably do some of this work, hopefully to decrease that cost. So that's my suggestion. On page 5, number 239 at the top, it's the Open Space Trust Fund, and it seems to be just kind of a wording or something, listing of the labor designation as per resolution, et cetera, and just could you explain that, please? And the last item, number 240, right below it, looks like reappointing people at the Open Space Trust Fund. One of them is actually Rose Checchio, and in parentheses it says Democratic official. So I don't know what that really means. Is that you have to have a Democrat on board? To be bipartisan? That's a strange thing. Why did you actually put Democratic official there? So if somebody could explain that, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Director Graziano, let's see. On number 225, can you explain the need for those extra funds?
Sure, yeah. This is in increasing the original contract by $85,000. We had some security issues up at the quarry, up at the Leaf Quarry along Mount View Road. The fence that goes up that whole road was damaged over the last few years. And since we are, I can segue into the other question he had about the trauma screen. The county has taken over the Leaf Quarry since November of 2016. We used to have a contractor in there running the Leaf Quarry, and now we've decided to take it over again. We used to run the quarry back in the 80s and 90s. It was very lucrative for us at that point. Things have changed in the middle. Currently, as far as the funds coming in, those funds were from a previous year. We can't anticipate any funds until we know exactly what we're going to be bringing in with leaves. That's the amount that we are charging the municipalities. We bring in about $260,000 a year, roughly, with leaves. With this, since we're going to take it over, we had purchased a leaf turner. This is our third piece of equipment. We also purchased a loader. We should be able to bring in a lot more funds this year. Towards the end of the year, we'll be selling the compost, unscreened and screened compost out of the quarry to bigger companies. So I anticipate a decent amount of funds coming in. I don't want to say exactly how much I think we could make, but I think we'll be okay moving forward. So that was the reason we had to buy that. That's the third piece of equipment. I have staff up there on a regular basis now, and the fencing was needed to close that whole area in. We didn't anticipate that in the original bid.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I think the last two questions were on 239 and 240 concerning the Open Space Trust Fund. County Counsel Bob Barry.
On the Open Space Trust Fund, Mr. Chairman, the ordinance was amended at one point to increase the composition of the body from 15 to 17, and this is an attempt, and it was some time ago, to address the issue of the additional member, one of which has to have a labor designation, and that's the change that's being made. And on the other one?
Yeah, the Democratic official?
Yeah, that's actually required. There are Republican appointments, Democratic appointments, public members, business representatives, et cetera.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any other member of the public who wishes to address pending resolutions? Seeing none, I will close that portion of the meeting and ask for a motion to adopt resolutions 2016-219 through 2016-251.
So moved, Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Kowalski, seconded by Freeholder Mirabella. Clerk of the Board, would you please call the roll?
Freeholder Carter?
Yes.
Freeholder Estrada?
Yes.
Freeholder Kowalski?
Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella?
Aye.
Freeholder Wright?
Yes.
And Chairman Bergen.
I abstain on Resolution 2017-232 and vote yes on the remaining resolutions.
Chairman, you have 6 votes in the affirmative for all resolutions with the exception of Resolution 2017-232, where you have 5 votes in the affirmative and 1 abstention.
Thank you. It's now that portion of the meeting where members of the public may address the board concerning comments on any governmental issue that a member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the county. Once again, please state your name and town of residence and adhere to the 5-minute time limitation. I do want to, before we start, just make a couple remarks, because I'm, again, assuming there are people here who wish to address the issue of the proposed bike trails up in the Watchung Reservation. I do want to point out that this is still just a proposal. Most recently, just a couple weeks ago, on February 26th, the county did hire an engineer to prepare an engineering report, so that is the next course of action. I've been asked, and unfortunately I can't really say how long that process is going to take, but that is a necessary step before this body moves forward. I was present at the meeting on Tuesday night and did hear a number of criticisms of the county that there was not proper notice concerning this process. The county, we thought we made proper efforts to get the word out, and if people didn't know about that, that was not the intention. Certainly we want to hear public comments from both sides of the issue, and that's why we've held the public meetings. I do want to note that tonight is not a question and answer session. The board will be happy to hear comments from the public, but we will not have a back and forth question and answer concerning the issue. I would ask that anyone who is addressing this issue, and really any issue, please remember your decorum. When someone else is speaking, please no yelling out from the audience. Please no applause. We do want to hear what people have to say, and when they're interrupted by applause, it does make it harder for us to hear. I would ask that everybody please try to be brief, to the point. We do want to hear what everyone has to say. The meeting is recorded, so your words will be memorialized and they will be taken into account by this board before we move on. Thank you for trying to adhere to those. That being said, please give your name, town of residence.
My name is Mary Helsel. I live in New Providence, New Jersey, and I've been a resident for 13 years. I run in the Watchung Reservation on all of the trails. You can name it, pretty much any weekend. I'm out there for several hours at a time. I'm an ultra runner. So I know these trails inside and out. I'm really disturbed by the current state of the trails. Now, we did have Superstorm Sandy roll through. We had a very torrential downpour of rain that washed off and eroded the trails even further last year. So the report that was given by the engineering firm is not current, being as though more damage has been done. I believe that the park staff has not done a good job in maintaining the parks. I also believe that there's poor leadership and use of the trail stewards who are volunteers to maintain the park trails. I also believe that there's a lack of training for the trail stewards. Very rarely are there trail steward training events. My husband has been waiting several months, since last year even, to be trained to be part of the chainsaw crew. He has gone out and helped the head of the chainsaw crew, but he is yet to be trained as a trail steward. I have yet to receive my trail steward badge to do trail work, and I was approved a year ago. There's a lack of regularly scheduled work dates for trail maintenance. There are no organized trail dates for the maintenance of these trails. If we're expected volunteers to come out and spend the time to fix these things that are so vital to the park, for the wildlife and for the people who use the park, there needs to be actual work dates, be it every other weekend, every month. There needs to be something, and it hasn't been done. There's a lack of transparency, and I know that you said there's been due notice. However, the whole process has pretty much been within this room and with Jorba and the other mountain bikers. It has not been posted with signs and flyers on people's cars or in the parks, at the trailheads. There isn't been, I'm sure there's newspaper articles, but nobody reads the paper anymore. What about posting it on your county website? Freeholders meetings, nobody reads them. There has to be a more transparent way to notify people. If we can make an emergency text about be careful driving on mountainside roads so that trick-or-treaters don't get run over, I'm sure that this is a big enough issue that some notification could have been given. Also, I'm incredibly disturbed by the lack of involvement of hikers, runners, other users of the park, and employees of Watchung Reservation. There was no charrette to involve all interested stakeholders in the event of creating or allowing mountain biking in the Watchung Reservation. There's a lack of respect for nature and the environment. No environmental study, no contacting of the EPA, especially considering endangered and threatened wildlife live in the reservation. What about the Green Acres? Have they been contacted about the bike trail? The implementation of the bike trail on untouched landscape could detrimentally affect the flora and fauna within that reservation. Yes, it's a reservation, not a park. Yes, Jorba has helped build several trails for mountain bikes in parks and reservations and preserve wildland. However, has it been as densely populated and contained as our park is for the size that it is? I don't know. And I don't think any investigation into the use of the park and increased usage by mountain bikers has been investigated. There's a lack of respect to the neighboring townships and boroughs whose municipal resources will be used in the event of an emergency. There was no contacting of any township officials. There was a lack of transparency to any short, immediate, and long-term plans for the construction of the new trail. No decommissioning of the old unblazed trails. There's a dependency on the county to rely on the volunteers to maintain, and now on Jorba and the county employees to then maintain and build these new trails. What portion of the taxpayer monies are actually being used for the reserve? And parking. Right now on weekends, there's parking to the max, and there are people that are parking at the deserted village on grass and then creating ruts and getting their cars stuck. Who's to say that the impervious material that could be laid down to add more parking won't detriment the park further? And policing and signage for the designated trails and trail etiquette. There lacks it incredibly.
Thank you. Your time is up. Certainly feel free to submit any additional comments on our website. Thank you.
Thank
Sir.
you, Mr. Chairman and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Charles Weltner. I'm from Plainfield, New Jersey. I've lived there 14 years. I just want to give a little history of how this has gone down for people who might not have attended the meeting the other night or aren't as, not at the forefront of their minds. On February 18th of last year, the freeholders approved a master plan for Watchung Reservation. The master plan provided that mountain bike trails would be allowed at the western end of the reservation. It converted hiking trails to multi-use trails to be shared by hikers and bikers. This master plan was produced without any input from hikers, volunteers, volunteer trail stewards, nature groups, or adjacent landowners, or nearby town officials, or the professional staff at the Trailside Nature Center in the reservation. In October of 2016, Parks and Recreation held a meeting to discuss the master plan at the Trailside Center. It was billed as being for bikers only, with the promise of other meetings later in the year for hikers and equestrians. In December of 2016, the trail route was substantially altered to provide 13.5 miles of new biker-only trails going around the perimeter of the reservation. Apparently, these changes were the result of input from the bikers at the Bikers Only October meeting. The public was not consulted on any of this. When I say we weren't notified, I don't mean that legal notice and minutes weren't published as required by law. I mean the Parks and Recreation Department didn't do any outreach to any of the people who used the trail or to the public in any way. Tuesday night, the long-awaited meeting for people other than bikers was held at the Trailside Center. Over 300 people attended. They had to close the doors and not let people in because it was overflowing. I guess about 80% of those people were outraged at the prospect of new trails and the lack of notice. How did all these people find out about the meeting? Well, I made a flyer, and I went to 275 houses around the reservation and put the flyer on the people's door. And I presume that some of those people that were there came as a result of that. So I feel like I did more to notify the people around the neighborhood than Union County of what was happening. One man spoke on Tuesday night, said he got notice of deer hunts, but not of the bike trails or the master plan. He was an adjacent landowner. And he asked why. There was no answer was given. Your constituents want to be heard on this issue. You have a beautiful facility in the reservation, the Trailside Center, where you could hold information meetings and charrettes. You can find out what people want what they want. You can find out what the citizens of Union County and the users of the Watchung Reservation want so easily. You could gather information about what we want to do with the reservation. None of this was done. Until now, you have heard only from the bikers who've been demanding biker trails for 3 or 4 years. The rest of us were clueless about these actions. In preparing the master plan, the construction of biker trails and prepared biker trails in the unused portions of the reservations. You've not consulted biologists or environmental professionals, and you even have such people on your staff at the Trailside Center who could help with this, and they weren't consulted. The trails, as drawn in the new trail map, go through threatened and endangered habitat of 5 or 6 species: barred owls, wood thrush, wood turtle, salamanders, egret, great blue herons. And I've prepared a map from the master plan. The master plan has a list of the endangered habitat. So I prepared that map with overlay of the trails for each member of the freeholders, which I'd like to pass at some point. And so I don't know whether the bike trails are going to hurt the environment, but neither do you, because you haven't found out. You haven't found out the answer to these questions. And so what I'm asking is for you to go back to the beginning, start over, conduct charrettes, reach out to the community, find out what we want, what we need. You are the stewards of the Watchung Reservation, and your obligation as the stewards and as representatives of the people of of Union County is to find out, go back to the beginning, find out what we want.
Thank you. If you would just present those to the clerk, he'll make sure the board members get them.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening. My name is Billy Toth. I live in Plainfield. At the meeting on Tuesday, someone mentioned that trail construction had already begun. And today I went over to the area he talked about to see if that was true, and it is true. There's trails being cleared and marked, and there's a very visible trail that's been started. And it's a little bit disturbing to hear it's being said it's only a proposal, and yet trails are being cut. And I'll give this to the board as well. I have brought some Watchung Reservation with me on my shoes. I'm also very disturbed at the process. This is a massive, very controversial change that's being proposed to the reservation, and that adoption of that trail master plan over a year ago without any outreach, any serious outreach to the public is very, I think, it may not have been legally required to reach out in any strong way, but I think it was morally responsible for you to do that. The reservation, I think, was established to be a nature preserve for future generations, and we as stewards, it's our responsibility to take that very seriously and try to preserve it for future generations. And I think the current plan that's been circulating is very destructive. It goes through all the untrafficked nature habitats, some of them very critical sensitive areas. And the public hasn't been involved, and the EPA hasn't been involved, and no serious environmental impact studies have been done, and I think that's a real problem. And I think the fact that that master plan was adopted without community input and allowing bikes in the reservation needs to be looked at, and an amendment may be necessary to take them out of the park. Thank you.
Thank you. I will just respond to one item you said, and that is that trails are being marked and cleared. That is not the case. I've seen the pictures, and yes, there have been some flags put out to represent. I'm sorry, you can't speak back, please. There has been no clearing done of the trails. There have been some flags marked for purposes of the engineers being able to see where the current proposal is. You're shaking your head no. I'm telling you, any clearing that was done had nothing to do with those trails. It's normal maintenance or whatever. None of the trails have been worked on. You don't have to believe me, but that is the case. Excuse me. If you yell out again, you will be put out of the room. Officer, please. We must have decorum. There are strong feelings on both sides, but we will not have people yelling from the audience. Yes.
Hi, my name is Ann DeCamp. I live on Crest Lane. It's on the southern border of the park. We're an adjacent landowner, my husband and I. My husband has lived there for about 45 years. I've lived there for 25 years since we got married. I do not support the mountain bike plan in the Watchung Reservation as it stands now. The reservation is meant primarily as a nature reserve with low impact to the wildlife. There is so very little undeveloped space in Union County, and aggressive overdevelopment, I believe, will ruin the reservation. One objection I have to the plan is the complete lack of confidence that I have that cyclists will stay off the hiker trails. I live on the reservation, I have a large picture window, and I frequently see bikers there every day biking illegally. Why would I believe that they would suddenly respect the rules? The master plan has bike trails around the periphery, but it will be mighty tempting to cut across the park on the hiker trails. Years ago, bikers did not even stay on the trails, and that caused serious erosion problems. They would careen down the steep rocky ravine near the Blue Brook Bridge and cut paths down from the deserted village. I observed this personally. I am sure that most Jorba members are very responsible, but let's be realistic. Many teenagers and young adults have mountain bikes, and they do not respect these rules or the signage. What recourse will we have as hikers? The Union County Police do not foot patrol the reservation, so they are not going to know what's going on the trails. A Jorba spokesman says that they will be volunteering to help defray the cost of, I guess, the trail creation and the trail maintenance. But also in a letter to the editor today, the Jorba spokesman stated that some of the cost will be absorbed by the county parks budget. What that means is that other maintenance or programs will need to be cut. The current trails need serious maintenance, and volunteers alone cannot fix the damage from severe rutting that occurred because of the flooding in Scotch Plains a couple years ago. In our family, we are trail stewards in the park, but more resources are needed. In addition, the Jorba Group has not been able to provide an estimate of the increased usage from cyclists. While there are various small parking lots in the reservation, local residents may face increased traffic and a large influx of cars on local residential streets. Will the county mark our streets with no parking signs, or can we expect to have our local residential streets lined with biker cars every weekend? Well, I have grave concerns that the Watchung Reservation will become some sort of mecca for mountain bikers, with throngs of cyclists causing traffic, parking, and noise issues. In addition, putting a major change that affects so many current reservation hikers, runners, wildlife enthusiasts, neighbors, only on the agenda and minutes of freeholder documents is a very disrespectful communication and stakeholder process. Notifications should have been sent out at least to the local mayors of the towns surrounding the reservation, so that stakeholders were not blindsided. And that's why there were 300 people at that meeting the other night. People felt blindsided. Even today, we ran into a neighbor off of Glenside who lives near where the Bowcraft apartments are about to go in that area there. My husband mentioned to her, do you know what those pink flags are? And she had no idea. She's an adjacent landowner, had no idea what was going on. So recall that the motto of the Union County Freeholders is, we're connected to you. Clearly in this case, you have not been. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
Kurt Kraus, Cranford. I was at the meeting the other night and saw about the current plan, about the new trails, and it's quite clear when you look at it how much more intensive the use will be in regards to including all of such heavy, large number of new miles of trails, and it's going to turn the park into like a Swiss cheese of trails, where you're going to lose the non-disturbed forest, which is so critically necessary to buffer the current trails from border roads. And it also, those tracts of unbroken areas sustain the level of primitiveness that's part of what I understand is the original master plan of this park, going back historically. So any plan regarding including bikes, it needs a very intensive, given the potential damage it could cause to that primitive vegetation, fauna, habitat. You'd need to submit in the planning process a very detailed enforcement plan. And as I see it, that would require a new division of our county police that's basically going to be a park ranger. That's going to be dedicated to the reservation, that is going to essentially spend half of their time getting out and going around on a mountain bike, that is going to spend the other half getting to go to another location which a regular patrolling policeman has found something is going on. And so that is something, what are we looking at? 2 or 3 people, full-time, $200,000, say, a year. Okay, so that's going to require special training, all the aspects involved with that, 2 positions. Necessary for the environmental integrity of the park and safety needs, too, that might be included with a heavier usage overall that you're intending on proposing for the long term. Because this place is going to draw a lot of people, and the other one up north doesn't do it, everybody's going to come here. The high level of objections that you've seen recently obviously indicates that that if you were to vote on this and approve it, and I think you're smarter than that, you can see, you'd basically be getting yourself in a political quagmire for this county, and you should probably anticipate a legal appeal. So I would also echo some of the comments of the other with respect to ATVs. If you open up new tracks of entry into this facility, you're going to have every guy down 22 stopping, pulling off his ATV and cruising up that trail. So who's going to enforce that? Mountainside Police? No. You're going to have Union County Police handle that. So, your problem. All of our problems. So all towns should be involved in coordinating maintenance in total. Like on the Appalachian Trail, there's a lot of hundreds of thousands of 1,000 miles, 2,000 miles, and it's all broken up into how they team up to maintain it. So you have to model a lot of that and put it on a smaller scale. So if you're planning, doing something like this, trying to improve the level of maintenance, which is important, obviously, we know that.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Push the microphone down.
Oh. Is that better?
Thank you.
Excellent. My name is Karen Settle Califf. Can you hear me? And I reside in Summit. I've lived in Summit for over 30 years, and I grew up in Mountainside where my family had a home for 30 years. I'm very familiar with the reservation as I grew up one block from Trailside Museum, and the reservation was my backyard. And I'm an architect, and I'm certified in historic preservation. I want to commend the county freeholders for the wonderful job they did on restoring Bryant Park and Summit. And I think it was really fantastic. It was a restoration project. It was designed by Frederick Law Olmsted, famous American landscape architect. And I think you all did a really terrific job with restoring that park to its historic character as best as could possibly be done. And it was a great collaborative effort between the county and the city of Summit and Springfield. And
the Bryant Park Conservancy, by
yes,
the way.
yes, thank you, yes. So that was really a wonderful thing. So Watchung Reservation needs to be protected. And the very rough, I guess it's a preliminary plan that was presented Tuesday night with the bike trails, I really think that it will have a devastating effect because most of these proposed bike trails are in untouched reservation woods. And although it was stated by the site engineer on Tuesday that no trees would be cut down, in referring to the master plan, page 23 has a detailed cross-section of a standard bike path, and it shows that the root systems are going to be cut. So the trees will die. If you don't cut down a tree, but you disturb the root system, which is approximately the diameter of the canopy of the trees will die. I deal with this on a regular basis as a professional trying to protect trees and save them. So I know you said that this is not a question and answer. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so my question, I do have a question for you. I know you invited public comment, and I think it's nice to say that you're receiving comments, which is what it was at Trailside on Tuesday night. However, my understanding and to my knowledge, I mean, I know it's true that in October, the bicycle enthusiast had the opportunity to have an interactive meeting and to give input and ask questions, and they got answers back. So my question to you is, when will the public, besides the biking community, have the opportunity for a back and forth question and answer collaborative session? When will that be? And I think it needs to be done. So could you answer that, please?
I'll answer when you're done.
Okay.
Are you done?
All right, I have some other questions. No, I'm not done. Okay, so one of the great aspects of the reservation is Feltville, the deserted village, which in 1980 was listed as registered as a National Historic Place, and it's protected historically. I do have a concern for what the bikeways, the bike trails could do to this national historic treasure, and I would like to see a historic impact study be done because I think it's really necessary. The reservation is a historic place, as is Bryant Park and Summit. So I think the fact that the historic elements need to be protected and should be protected is a really important aspect to this whole master plan. Okay, so bear with me, please. The site plan that was done by the engineer, it looks very schematic. There's no date on it. There are no municipal boundaries to know what land belongs to what town. Many of the streets are not even on there. There are streets in the plan, but they're not shown on the engineer's site plan. There's no designation of existing trails that are to be relocated or removed, only new trails. So we really need an overlay on that map.
Thank you. I'm sorry your time is up.
Okay, thank you.
To answer your question, I don't have an answer for you. There is currently no meeting planned where there will be questions and answers, but certainly as time goes along and this process goes forward, we will try and schedule one if that is deemed appropriate. You can't, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Frank Kraus, 20 Pittsfield Street, Cranford. To begin, I'd like to compliment the previous speaker on her clear description of a reservation and what a reservation is. It's an atrium for the protection of plants, trees, wildlife, and animals. And just a few minutes back, I was going through some of the literature that had been passed around, the map of Watchung Reservation, and I see that it is the responsibility of this group of freeholders to monitor some 35 different pieces of real estate that are basically parks. Now, I want to bring to your attention that 34 of them are listed as parks, but only one of them is listed as a reservation. And so we certainly hope that we're going to maintain that as a reservation. I think biking would probably destroy it. Now, also in the sites that you have, there are 8 registered biking locations. Let's hope the bikers don't need this one as a reservation to change the environment that we're all interested in protecting. Now, I too attended the meeting on Tuesday night, 300 and some people, a packed house, and I see they came from Berkeley Heights, Springfield, Mountainside, Scotch Plains, and then all around that area, people who like to do some hiking, including myself. And I didn't hear one person there who wasn't, even bikers that were located in that area, who were in favor of 13.5 miles of bike trails, which would be destruction. I have a question. I know there's a cost involved. I know we had, I think it was an architect or an engineer, a young lady there Tuesday night that was explaining how things were going to be done. I mean, we know that a lot of trees are going to have to be removed. The trails are going to have to be built. It's going to change the whole appearance, the whole complex, and the whole utility of that reservation, your only reservation in Union County. I also heard that the estimated cost was going to be $480,000 to do that, to do all that damage, and to have taxpayers and 4 surrounding communities all be opposed to that wasting of their tax payments to provide money to destroy their reservation. Am I correct? Could you correct me on the cost?
Please proceed.
I don't know. I would imagine that the individual that was the architect is going to work with the group that are going to do the construction and the damage. They might be connected. I don't know. But I'm really concerned about it, and like everybody else, and I'm sure you're going to hear from many more people commenting about it. And we hope to hear from you, and we hope to hear that you're going to decline this. I have one last question. The Trailside Museum Association is very intricately involved in maintaining this site. And they have a beautiful museum. Parents bring their children in there, bring their grandchildren in there, and they all tour the site, and they feel they're in perfect comfort and safety. They're not going to be run over by bicycles. They love the nature. They love the reserve that they're in. And I don't think we should disappoint them. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Krause. I'm just going to comment on two things. You said trees are going to be cut down. I was at, not all of it, but much of the meeting on Tuesday night, and the engineer specifically said at that, you can't comment back, but the engineer specifically said on Tuesday night that there are no trees that are going to be cut down. So that's what our professional has said. As far as the cost, I know there was confusion about the cost because of the resolution on tonight concerning a different trail. The $480,000 figure, I have no idea where that came from, and it is absolutely not what the cost will be. Thank you. I'm sorry, you can't. Only one bite at the apple. Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening. Jim Streeter from Mountainside. I'm not going to speak in regards to whether we should or shouldn't have the mountain bike trails, but what I would ask the freeholders is to take into account, if and when these bike trails are actually put in place, to take into consideration the homeowners that live directly adjacent to the Watchung Reservation. Now, you had mentioned that there had been some flags that had been placed in the Watchung Reservation indicating where those trails may be. And this may not be accurate information because one of the problems is we don't have very good information to go by. The map was very challenging, not only online, but also when you tried to print it, to have an understanding of where those trails were being placed in correlation to where the back of our homes are. But what I'd like to do is just show a picture, which I know you've seen before, of where a flag was placed in conjunction to where the back of our homes are. So what I would ask of the freeholders is that if this does move forward, to please take into consideration that there is open space and they do not have to be placed so close to homeowners. And again, at one point I was told 50 feet, another time I was told 300 yards. There doesn't seem to be a lot of accurate information as to where these trails are going to be placed. You also had mentioned that the engineering report will indicate some of that information. So what I'd like to ask as only one question, when that engineering report is produced and is available, will it be available on your website, and will there be any notification that that report is available? And in closing, I'd like to just say once again, if they are coming, it would be just wonderful to involve the people that it directly affects. Thank you very much for your time. May I pass this to?
Yes, please give it to the clerk. Thank you. As far as the report, there is a process whereby once it is a finalized and public document, then it will be available to the public. I presume we'll post it on our website at that time.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Thomas Dunn from Cranford. I fully support the debated and vetted and researched and well thought out and amended plan that did include input from previous freeholder meetings, from hikers, equestrians, and bikers. I support any plan to offer beginner to intermediate bicycle trails for the use of our children and our community. While our children have grown addicted to screens and sugar, childhood obesity rates have risen, childhood diabetes has risen, and behavioral problems persist amongst our youth. As a lover of the outdoors and someone who trail runs in Watchung and takes my little children on hikes in Watchung, any move that fosters outdoor play should be applauded and not opposed with endless stalling, mistruths, and fear-mongering. Any plan that includes the trails that offer our youth a safe and well-maintained bicycle system away from the dangerous, congested roads and close to home is a great idea. Any decision to offer an alternative outlet that fosters and promotes a healthy and active lifestyle towards the general well-being of a community is a good idea. Communities throughout America have endured these exact same debates, riddled with slippery slope fallacies, fear-mongering, and yet have still implemented the programs, such as this plan is promoted, and worked successfully towards the benefit of the entire community. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Ritchie, and I am a licensed social worker. I also work for one of the largest advocacy organizations for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. I host multiple events.
I'm sorry, your town of?
Rosa Park.
Thank you very much.
I host multiple events at the reservation throughout the year and utilize the trail system to help folks engage in a low-cost and healthy living activity. I am very concerned about the proposal to bring 13.5 miles of brand new trail to Watchung because, as many of the former speakers have said, there are tremendous negative effects. I don't think it's been researched thoroughly enough to kind of make this call. I would also say that there has been new signage posted at the reservation over the last season that has advertised that biking is restricted. Yet a lot of the folks that are speaking on behalf of the mountain bikers are engaging in activity at the reservation that is restricted. They do this knowingly, and they put other people's safety at risk. I myself have almost been collided with a mountain biker. There is a rule that hikers, mountain bikers should be yielding to hikers. In reality, this does not happen. I don't think it's feasible, and I also think that giving kind of leeway for 13.5 miles of single-use trail is troubling, because 13.5 miles of trail for people who have been disobeying posted signage and regulations with impunity for many years, I don't have any reason to believe that that wouldn't extend to the remainder of the reservation and again put untouched land and hiker safety, children's safety, and dog safety at risk. I'm just very concerned about this. I would also say that I have reached out to all of you individually, and I have that letter here. But the main message is that Watchung is super biodiverse. I'm concerned that there hasn't been a study on the ecological impact of the trails, because we know that it would disrupt the nesting grounds, the feeding grounds, and the homes of Watchung's native residents. So I would just ask that you keep everything in mind, and please, clearly people want to be able to speak to you and have their questions answered, and it would mean so much to have the opportunity that the mountain bikers have had to really interface with you and share our concerns in a kind of productive way. So I thank you for your time tonight, and is it possible to question what the process is if this plan is fully approved and implemented? What is the recourse of the hikers?
Are you done with your comment?
I am.
Okay. That's a legal question, and I'm not going to answer it.
You won't touch it? Okay.
What the recourse is if you don't like what the county does, I can't tell you that.
Okay.
I do want to say, because you've said and a couple other speakers have said that the mountain bikers had an opportunity to sit down and discuss it. There was a public forum with the mountain bikers, just like the one that was on Tuesday night. Okay. It was in public. It was essentially the same thing. I will say I wasn't at that one, but there has been no involvement, if you will, directly of the mountain bikers in deciding what this plan would look like. We've listened to their concerns just like we've listened to yours, and that's why this is an ongoing process. Okay. Thank you for your comments.
Can I pass this along?
Yes, please.
Good evening. Andrew Stillifson from Westfield. I've come before the freeholders before a couple times talking about mountain biking and Watchung Reservation with two messages: transparency and access. And I want to commend the freeholders and the county on both points. First of all, on transparency, the master trail plan, as originally put forth, had a shared trail option with mountain bikers sharing the trails with hikers and equestrians. In response to feedback from the other stakeholders, citing safety and usage concerns, and quite honestly, misconceptions from 20 years ago, the county revised the plan to put mountain bikers on their own trails so that any concerns about user conflict would be addressed. I want to commend the county for that. I think that's a great idea. And the county's been having meetings, getting feedback from all the involved groups. So that is as transparent as you can get, and I think the county should be commended for that. Second point is access. Now the opponents of mountain biking are saying there should be no access, no mountain biking in the reservation, typically citing some type of irreparable damage to the reservation, that the mountain biking trails would somehow ruin the reservation. This can't be further from the truth. First of all, mountain bikers are responsible trail users. This has been proven all over the state and, in fact, all over the country. In every park where mountain biking is allowed in the state of New Jersey, there is shared trails with hikers and equestrians, and it's successful. It is successful all over the state. There is little to no user conflict that I'm aware of, and I've been looking into this because it's an important point. I understand the concerns. No one wants to hike on the trail, including myself, and be run over, whether it's by an equestrian or by a bike, trail runner, etc. To my knowledge, conflict is minimal if it ever happens. And the second point I want to make is I've been living in Union County for almost 13 years. I'm an avid snowshoer, history buff, and hiker, and I love the reservation. I use it for all those purposes. I think it is a great resource for Union County. And the notion that myself or any other mountain biker would want to go there and do something that would harm the reservation or adversely affect it is just untrue. And I think that the notion that mountain bikers are out to destroy it or to somehow adversely affect it or to take it over is just not true. All we're asking for is equal access as another Union County user group. In conclusion, I just want to continue to encourage the county and urge the freeholders to approve the master trail plan at Watchung to include mountain biking access. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening, Matt Van Vackus from Summit City. Thank you for the opportunity to speak and hear some public feedback today and this evening. I hope it's not too little too late. And by that I mean there's clearly been a lot of effort and a lot of time and energy already put into the master plan as it currently stands. But despite potentially best of intentions by everyone involved, there has also clearly been a number of constituencies left out of it. It's not just a hiker versus biker versus equestrian issue. One major stakeholder is the surrounding property owners. And clearly my friend has a point of view here, but at least he had the good sense of identifying one of those constituencies, and thanks to his good Samaritan efforts of just doing a plain old-fashioned flyer drop, myself and probably 150 other of my fellow neighbors in Summit found out about this issue. We're all busy. None of us are trolling various public websites to figure out what meetings we've missed, because we're crammed full of plenty of meetings already. I think, again, back to the best of intentions, perhaps complete and full and robust public and constituent notification is a difficult thing. I'll grant you that. But 5 or 6 phone calls to our surrounding town mayors or city councils, this impacts them as well. It impacts all of us as municipal taxpayers, Union County taxpayers. There's a resource use issue here. Police departments and rescue squads will undoubtedly be tapped in the surrounding communities. Again, it's not just a hiker versus biker issue. This is a county resident versus non-resident issue. It's an enforcement issue. And how are you going, is there going to be a handful of gates where there's going to be someone saying, show me an ID, are you a Union County resident? There's no plausible study yet that's definitively said, here's a realistic estimate of how many people from the surrounding region may use this. Is there going to be somebody that says, I'm sorry, on that first magical weekend in spring where the weather is perfect and everyone wants to come out and dust off the winter blues, that I'm sorry, sir or ma'am, you're the 1100th person at 1 p.m. on this Saturday. I'm not going to let you in because the park is now overcrowded. By the way, it's a reservation, not a park. So I find it to be, first and foremost, a safety issue. There's a lot of misinformation that seems to be going around. I find it very apparent that you all in the Parks and Recreation Department are finding it difficult to manage your own process. At the meeting 2 days ago, Ron, who runs the department, said definitively that there should not be any flags marking any prospective trails yet. That was his impression. He runs the department. Later in that same meeting, there was an explanation given about how the flags are easily put in and removed so that the engineering firm can make the study. Okay? I think the most, as a property owner, the most interesting piece of important misinformation or disinformation or confusion is around the setbacks that are planned. 50 feet, 20 feet, 200 yards, 500 yards. That's a very important parameter to understand. As a taxpayer and happen to be a resident, a brand new resident, that bought my house 7, 8 months ago and happen to have a backyard that looks out into the beautiful Watchung Reserve on that very narrow strip above Route 78. Now to invite the public in such close proximity to me and my family, 3-year-old and 6-year-old boys who are finally excited to be out of the city and have their own backyard, my wife and I are now wondering what intentions there are. And I'm not going to pretend to speak for every single one of my neighbors. I can't paint them with one broad brushstroke, but neither can the biking community. I love them to death. Maybe they're all quality individuals, but they can't vouch for each and every one of them either. I'm not clear how you can cut a straight line of any meaningful length in a heavily wooded area without clearing some brush. And if you claim that that's going to happen, then you're basically saying there are no trails. There's maybe some markings, but you got to dodge everything. So that seems like it's got to be misinformation. Bottom line, I'll speak very selfishly for a second. I think there can be a win-win, potentially. I wish I had more time to talk about or think about environmental issues.
Thank you. If you do want to submit more, please put it on the website. We are monitoring that. We will hear what you say there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Jamie Meiselman from Westfield. I'm one of the co-chairs of JORBA for the Union County chapter, which was actually founded to facilitate this plan and the integration of mountain biking to the reservation. I penned a letter to the editor in most of the Union County, all of the Union County Tap Into sites today. Many of you maybe have read it. I did email a copy to Bruce and Betty Jane, since I did see both of you at the meeting Tuesday night. And I will email it to everyone else later on. Essentially, the letter tried to take, I basically took all my notes and tried to summarize all the opposition that all these people brought up at the meeting, which all are completely reasonable concerns and requests. So I put together a list of these oppositions and have tried to explain or provide more detail to maybe put their concerns at ease. I won't be able to read this letter in 5 minutes, but I have a couple of my colleagues to finish, if that's okay. So, with respect to JORBA, New Jersey Off-Road Bicycling Association, our organization currently assists county governments, state governments, local governments, park managers, land use managers in the construction and maintenance of safe, sustainable mountain biking and mixed use trails. Actually, most of the trails we work on are mixed with hiking, horses, and bikes. So that's pretty much the standard, not the exception, throughout the state of New Jersey. That's in 21 parks that we have involvement with, hopefully 22 shortly. And again, I know the issue of a park versus a reservation has been brought up, but from a practical standpoint, we actually have mountain biking trails in state parks, state forests, reservations, besides Watchung, county parks, wildlife reserves. Just because it has a name, it doesn't mean that there can't be a bike trail in it from a legal or an ecological standpoint. So I'm going to bring up a couple of the, there's 11 points total. We'll see how far I can get till I run out of time. The first opposition, which you've heard, and is a reasonable one, which is how come we haven't heard much about this bike trail plan? And I guess my answer reiterates a lot of what the county freeholders have been saying, which is, freeholder meetings are not front page news, but the information regarding the Trails Master Plan and the integration of biking in the Watchung Reservation was always publicly available via the minutes from the Freeholder meetings and frequent local newspaper records, reports. The trail plan has been in development with the county hired engineering plan, CME Associates, since 2014. It was adopted in February 2016 and has been available publicly online, the actual plan, since it was adopted. And people, passionate stakeholders such as bikers, but also hikers and birders and runners and everyone else has seen this, has accessed this information, and has had their voice heard. Certainly not in the grand scale that everyone wishes could have happened, but the real passionate stakeholders have been involved in communicating with the county and the freeholders on this issue. And as a result, the plan has evolved, and the plan continues to evolve, and I understand that it's frustrating when the county releases it in chunks and it's not necessarily up to date with the latest bit of information. So I want to get that point across, that this is a plan that's evolving based on feedback from all stakeholders surrounding people who own properties, people who are doing other activities in the park. It's not being done in a vacuum or with mountain bikers and freeholders in a back room somewhere. Who is building the trails? This is the next issue. Who is building these trails, and what are the liability and safety issues? As has been said, the trails are being routed and built by county managers, county employees who are trained in IMBA specifications. They're getting support from us. We offer our support from JORBA members who are obviously also trained in IMBA specifications. IMBA, these standards, which are International Mountain Bike Association for Trail Building, these are the standards that are used by the U.S. Forest Service, the New York, New Jersey Trail Alliance, and virtually all trail building organizations in the country. So these are the standards that are used to build safe, sustainable trails, not just for biking, but for everything. This is state-of-the-art stuff. Again, everyone who's building this is trained in JORBA specifications. Also, you should know, JORBA members are insured. They're covered by JORBA's liability insurance company. So that is even before the county insurance even gets involved.
Thank you. I'm sorry, your time is up.
All right, I'll pass on issue number 3 to my colleague, Joe. Thank you.
Hi, Joe Weiss. I live in Westfield. I'd just like to thank Chairman Bergen and the Board of Freeholders for your past support in creating a fair plan for the Watchung Reservation so all user groups can enjoy it. And I ask that you continue to supporting this plan through its fruition. And I'd also ask you, please be diligent in considering all the misinformation that's being thrown around by groups that are already in the reservation and what they're saying about mountain biking. And I'd point to just one quick example, which is 2 summers ago, the signs banning biking in the reservation were taken down. And very quickly, mountain bikers started riding in the reservation. I was one of them. I rode with my son. He loved it, and we had a great time. And I can promise you that none of the horrible things that you've been hearing about a couple nights ago and tonight ever happened. When we were riding in the reservation, there were no injuries, no families got run over, there was no traffic, there was no parking problems, there was no noise. It was fine, and everybody got to share in the reservation. So please consider real facts when you make your plans for the reservation in the future. So I'm going to continue. I'll read some of our information until I run out of time, and then I'll pass it on to Mr. Johnson. One thing that's come up is all the studies that need to be apparently conducted before we can create a plan. And I wonder, rhetorically, how much of the county budget we can possibly afford to spend on dozens and dozens of studies before we actually enact a plan. The fact of the matter is, if you look at the surrounding parks in the state, none of the damage and none of the environmental impact that's been thrown around here has happened in any of these other parks. In terms of the condition of the reservation, condition of the trails, I think the mountain bikers agree 100% with everybody here. And in the last 2 nights ago in the meeting, the reservation is not well maintained. The trails are in very bad condition, and frankly, the mountain bikers are the one user group that's been the most frankly, the largest group in terms of trail maintenance that we've had in all the surrounding parks where JORB has been a park steward. So the fact is, when you allow mountain biking reservation, the trails are maintained in a suitable way. I think in terms of the homeowners that are now very concerned about where the trails are cut, I think it's a great, it's a very legitimate concern, and we should absolutely respect the homeowners so that they're not impacted, and I think that'll be easy to do in a revised plan. In terms of enforcement, frankly, once these trails are created and built for mountain bikers aren't going to want to ride on any other trails. That's a given. So with the current plan, with the amount of trails that are in that plan, mountain bikers will not be riding on other trails. There's no issue about that at all. Lastly, in terms of impacts to parking and crowding, this has been something that's been talked about, and I just mentioned we've had riding in the reservation 2 summers ago, no issues. There's a ton of parking at the Equestrian Center. There's a lot of parking at the Nature Center. There's plenty of parking to accommodate all the legitimate user groups in the reservation. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you listening.
Thank you.
Good evening. Glenn Johnson, Westfield, New Jersey. He covered the list, so I just have a few brief comments, and I know everybody's looking forward to that. In closing, I'd just like to touch on one last stakeholder I don't think anybody's talked about yet, and it's the small business community. Right? We know the small business community is the lifeblood, the environment, the backbone of our economy. Right? They employ the most people in our country. They are the fabric of our communities and our neighborhoods. Not only the bike shops, coffee shops, restaurants, the other shops that ring this park, if we were allowed to allow mountain biking, would increase revenues and allow more patrons to visit those shops. The people running these businesses, and many of you know them too, you have friends running businesses, are your neighbors. Their kids go to school with my kids. Right? I see them in church on Sunday. These are our neighbors. We want to support them. And when you support biking in Watchung, you support those people in those communities. Lastly, I'll say this just openly. Democracy is not a spectator sport. I know the freeholders understand this. I know Bruce Patterson understands this. But the folks who are here tonight who feel blindsided that Union County didn't operate in the open or they didn't complete their due diligence, frankly, haven't been paying attention. Thanks again to the freeholders who showed up Tuesday night at the Nature Center. Who knew that building bike trails could get so many people involved in their county government? Thanks for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. My name is Andrew Stevenson, and I live on Oak Ridge Avenue in Summit. And just to maybe make a comment, if I can, just based off of one thing that was recently said, when the park was open, park reservation was open previously a number of years ago for mountain biking. It was commented that there were no issues, that everybody, hikers, bikers, and equestrian, were able to share the roads and the trails, and there was no issues. I would certainly hope that maybe that could still be the case. It might mean modification to the existing trails, but I'm not for necessarily increasing the trails and adding more trail to the reservation. For my prepared comments, I too hear, like so many people tonight, as well as at the meeting in Mountainside 2 nights ago, have commented. I do have concerns about the environmental impact of these new trails, as well as possibly the disruption of the existing wildlife that would come from this. What I'd like to focus my comments on is specifically the sliver of the reservation that we're talking about adding new trails on in Summit, north of 78. Which is primarily between, let's say, the Glenside Avenue and then Rotary and Oak Ridge Avenue areas, generally speaking. So this sliver of the reservation is very steep and densely wooded, and will not only be dangerous, it will also be within eyesight and very close to our property lines for those of us who live up there. At the meeting the other night, from one of the planners of the trail, they stated that this section of Summit is, quote, out of the hair of residences, and nothing really could be further from the truth. This trail and the bikers that will come from it will be right in our backyards. It will increase the traffic on our streets, as there has been no mention of creating or expanding parking to accommodate these additional visitors to the reservation, and specifically this section. To my knowledge, there isn't a single parking lot for the section of the reservation that is north of 78. No trails or human activities currently take place in this section. So our house on Oak Ridge backs up to this section of the reservation and is a big reason why we bought the house a few months ago. It's because of these beauties, the beauty of the backyard, these woods, and the privacy that it provides that we fell in love with. I know that most, if not all, of our neighbors feel this way too. It was also mentioned that this section of the trail will be 200 yards from our houses, but this isn't entirely true either. Alongside my entire property from front to back is a strip of reservation that is 50 feet wide and goes out to Oak Ridge Avenue, meaning that this is an access point to get into this section of the reservation and is one of the only access points to get into this section. And now for the first time, it's going to be open to more people than ever before, and really, the general public speaking more generally. For us, though, making these trails in the section of north of 78 behind Glenside Avenue and Oak Ridge would take away our privacy as our backyard becomes that access point, but it also decreases our safety, increases our liability, as so many bikers could be traveling alongside our property through our backyard, not to mention the possibility of littering alongside the property. I know that not everybody does it. It might just be a possibility, and I'm emphasizing that. Allowing this trail in this section of the reservation will also decrease the values of all of our homes in that area. Like so many people here and in our neighborhood, we love our community, we love our home, we love the privacy that the reservation provides, and we urge you to not allow trails close to our homes on this sliver of land north of 78. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Mary Beth Gary. My family built a house on Little Brook Road in 1968. I've been in the reservation for, I'm 55. We moved there when I was 7. But I've, the old
town?
stable, the new stable in Springfield.
Thank you.
So, yes, not in my backyard. We can all say that. In my backyard, there's actually a hunting trail, but we're not talking about that tonight. What I want to show you is a whole bunch of things to really cue you in with what's going on the reservation, because that is what scares me. I'm here for the animals. I can handle property values. I'll show the audience. I'll leave you somewhere for you to say, but I think this is probably about the only place. I'm so sorry.
If you want to,
what I want to tell you,
you want to put it on the
the
table?
reservation is under attack from natural things like all of the vines pulling down the old trees. In the Schiff Reservation out in Harding, we go around and we clip them off. Even the town, Bernard's Township, will come around and clip like 8 or 10 sections. This has never been done here. So there's tons of big, healthy trees that did not get killed by Sandy that are being killed by these vines and being ignored. There's no maintenance whatsoever. 48 years. Here's more vines. Here's huge trees laying sideways, hung up on other trees. Very dangerous. I hope we're well insured in the county. Here, there's, you can see this. There's a 30-foot shard hanging on another tree, just waiting for someone to give it a little bump. Oops, there's my house, just 50 feet from where they've tagged all these things. I'm not happy about rowdiness in my yard, and I love the animals, and I want to have them have peace too. The infrastructure which was created to put in my street, which is county property, we have an easement on ours, is falling apart. And it's just been left there to rot. These big cylinders, these concrete things. I better hurry up. There's all this natural erosion. Huge. This is, I'm standing in the brook, carefully, not hurting anything. Natural erosion everywhere. There's litter. There's big pipes. Even the county, who came to fix something, left another one just sitting there. That's been there 10 years. Right along the trail, which any of the nice policemen or anybody else who comes and hunts there can see, is tons of dump stuff just sitting there. Everywhere you look, there is this crap. There's no maintenance whatsoever. Now, this picture tells it all. If there's anyone who has any idea about land use planning, they would never put a flag there. Again, I'm near the brook. You can see there's about 15 feet of completely beat up tree roots showing complete erosion. And oh, what do I see? A little flag right between one of the two very big, nice, last standing. And this tree has nothing going for it except for that part of its roots. So whoever the route lady was, you might want to have a picture of this. Again, whoever marked out the trails loves the idea of going through streams, which I understand are going to build bridges across. That's not so good. Okay, flag, through the streams. Let me get to the environmental issues, because you did not talk to the DEP. Oh, look, what do I see? Wetlands identifying plants. Here is the stinky stuff, skunk cabbage. Oop, there's a flag practically stuck in one. So whoever marked this out didn't know anything about the laws of this state, wildlife, nature, where you put a trail. A trail you mark with an X on a tree. Put them right alongside the other trails. Do not take virgin land to whatever. Litter, unbelievable. Is it beer bottles like in the old days? No, it's water bottles, sports drinks. Probably your favorite. I have nothing against bikers. I have a mountain bike. It never dawned on me once to go out in the woods and scare the hell out of the animals and ride around with my friends. We go out to the equestrian team, which is I guess now Trump's golf course or whatever. We would go out in the wild. But to go out there, oh, here's the bog turtle habitat on the EPA's list of protection. Oh, what do I see? A flag right in the middle of it. As kids, we weren't even allowed there. So I think you really aren't, oh wait. Now, here, just to get anybody else pissed off, as I am, and I hate speaking, that's what the pictures are for. Graffiti. There's about 300 feet of graffiti, including a nice swastika on this duck's head, the F word a couple of times, and it is this entire walls. So you tell me they maintain this park, that they even know what's going on there? Swastikas. Not Jewish. Don't like
Thank you for your
crazy
comments.
stuff. So, tells it all. You guys want to say? So I'm asking you to turn this down in its condition.
Thank you.
Tom Manna, Mountainside, New Jersey. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'd like to speak specifically about the master plan, northeast corner on Sylvan Lane, where we have seen flags and stakes put up. They go twice, they bifurcate the runoff from sewers, one of which was recently put in on Sylvan to handle the water. Now, it seems to me a qualified engineer who Tuesday night purported to walk every inch of the trails might not have seen this, because this is virgin property, okay? County property, admittedly. But what the runoff does, because it's a simple two iron sewers coming off Summit Lane, and the runoff is designed to go into the woods, down to the stream about 500 feet below. So what we have crossing that path of water is what is our mountain bike paths. Not bike paths designed to increase walkability scores, but mountain bike paths. And my frustration as someone who receives a letter when there's a deer hunt, receives a letter when there's paving going on, receives a letter when anything that's going to impact the neighborhood that adjoins the county property did not get anything. Now, I'd like to speak about the Jorba membership, which has filed in 2015, the last available date, public records that show about $50,000 in dues, okay, and about 600 members. Now, they're so well insured, okay, I think that the liability is going to be transferred for all this activity to the county and to the homeowners. And I don't think that very competently this investigation by the engineering department or by CME was done. You have a lot of people who are hearing about this for the first time. Even a broke clock is right twice a day. We all can't be that uninterested in county government to know what's going on. Yet the plan never showed any of the homes, any of the street, any of the other items, the animals that would be impacted. And as a closing statement, I would like to turn your attention, since we're using the internet so much and the county is relying on it, go to the Jorba Facebook page. where they explicitly say construction has already begun. And they tout the use of the equestrian parking for the swarms of people who will come to enjoy the mountain biking trails. I think you really need to get your arms around the narrative and join the entire community, which obviously the entire community has not been enjoying. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I just want to make one thing clear because it seems like there's a misconception. The engineering study was just approved on February 23rd, so that has not been done. That is yet to be done. And I would say that Jorba does not speak for this county. Thank you. Is there anyone further wishing to address any item?
Hello. My name is Chris Blatt from Roseville Park. I'm here to speak on the opposition of the mountain bike trail as well. I just think there's absolutely no way it's going to work. I think in the long term, the mountain bikes will completely overrun Watchung, ruining the enjoyment for everybody, all the hikers and families, people who've been going there their whole lives. I just think it's not going to work. I had a few questions about it, actually. Is it okay to ask questions at this? You know, you can ask questions?
You can ask them.
Okay. I mean, I think just from the other day at Watchung, I don't know how many people were at the meeting at Watchung the other day, but I think that just seeing how many people came out to speak at that event shows how much people care about Watchung and the reservation. Those are all taxpayers. Seems to me like there's a lot more people who care about the reservation. I think there's a lot more people who care about the reservation and want to see it preserved than people who want to mountain bike there. I think it's a very small group of people who want to ride bikes there, who, and from what I've seen on the trails, are not that interested in nature or preserving it. I've seen the litter. I've seen the disrespect for the trails. The only questions I really had was, what steps can somebody take to get the mountain biking trail removed from the master plan?
I'm sorry, to get the master plan?
Just to get because as far as I know, the master plan has been approved, right, from the freeholders?
That's correct.
Okay. First of all, I think that's crazy that that has been approved before the meeting that took place the other day. I don't know how that came about. I don't know how that happened. But, yeah, how can somebody go about, like, is it a petition that needs to be signed to have the bike trail removed from the master plan? Or
This board will decide that issue, so we're hearing you tonight.
Oh, okay. Yeah, when will that be decided on?
I can't take the back and forth. I've explained that, but do you have any more comments?
That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. No, I'm sorry, rules are one shot per person, thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on any issue?
Discussing heads.
Direction is going.
Good evening, Chair Bergen, ladies and gentlemen, Freeholder Board, Bruce Patterson, Garwood. The county manager's budget is out, and I've been reviewing it. It's not as detailed as the regular budget that comes out that you introduce and then vote on later on, and I think it's April, May time period. But I mean, there was enough to take a look at it where I guess the issue I have is, and I like County Manager Alfaiella, but come on now. I mean, you know, you're increasing taxes another $10 million. I mean, that's amazing. That's right on the heels of the Summit Taxpayers Association and the Summit residents that had come down here at the other meeting and said, please, you can make it a zero tax increase. And unfortunately, then after the meeting was near the end, you said, that's a 2.9% increase. $10 million. $10 million is a lot of money. The reason why I'm saying that, and years ago, it used to be like $13 million almost every year, but suddenly you sold Runnels, and I've talked to you guys about this before. You sold Runnels Hospital, and the operating costs, and these are your dollars, was either $13 million or $17 million. You guys said that. So now that Runnels is out of the picture, it looks like we have at least $13 million a year in savings from the operating cost of rentals. Yet you did nothing about that. In fact, Freeholder Hudak, who's not here, I don't know why, but anyway, he's the one that was the chair, and I pointed that out to him, and he didn't understand. I mean, you know, when he was chair of finance, it went up $6 million. Last year, 2016, like I was saying, you guys are now sitting on a lot of money that are coming in because you're saving this operating cost. Last year, and I have it, I mean, the 2016 budget had a $55 million surplus. That's 11% of a $500 million budget that you guys do every year. 11%. And yet, the taxes still went up. I think it was about $8.5 million. You still increased the taxes $8.5 million with a $55 million surplus. This year, the full budget is not out yet, so I don't know what the surplus is. I'm projecting at least $65 million probably. But anyway, you're still increasing taxes $10 million. The taxpayers out here are hurting. The people from Summit were coming down and crying. And like I've mentioned other years, when the rich people cry, you know something's wrong. You know, and they're saying that their town's becoming unaffordable. They pointed out, the Summit taxpayers had a graph that time, and they pointed out that the Muni end was up like 1% in 5 years, the Board of Ed was maybe 5% in 5 years, and the county end was up 29%. So we know it's out of control. You guys are hiding money, $50 million, $55 million, you still raise taxes $8 million, then you're raising another $10 million. It's beyond comprehension. And the guy who's overseeing the budget, and I've said this before, is the town manager of Scotch Plains. So the town manager of Scotch Plains gets to oversee and control our budget of the county, and yet the other 20 town managers have no say. They just sit there and have to take the hit of the taxes. So there's a conflict of interest. I'd like to hear why it isn't a conflict of interest. These people would, I'm sure, do, because they're listening, I hope, anyway. But the issue, looking at and again, the county manager's budget, looking at it, 3 things jump out. One is salaries are up 4%, $7 million. Salaries 4%. Yes, you might be hiring a couple of people, but $7 million increase in salaries. I'd like maybe some explanation of that, or I guess I'm going to have to Oprah that. The UCUA, Union County Utilities Authority. The revenues coming into the county, it was $2 million from the refinance scheme. You were going to get $2 million. Suddenly it's $1 million. So where the heck is that $1 million disappearing? We're supposed to get $2 million as revenue from them, not $1 million. And the last, and this is amazing, you have like $16 million in prescription costs. $16 million. That comes out if there's 2,500 people in the county. I mean, that comes out to about employees. That comes out $7,000 in prescription costs an employee. I mean, these numbers, I got to look at. There's other ones too, but I mean, these are what jumped out at me. I couldn't believe it. And just in closing, I mean, we were here and we looked at firemen with 50 years service, community. They have a low SAP pension that's probably going to be $1,000 or $2,000, and yet Al Mirabella, who's double dipping, has increased his salary in 3 years 600% to $90,000. You know, they say they're friends, but I'll tell you right now, they find out that he's walking away with 600%
Your time
increase
is up.
in pension.
Mr. Patterson, you know the rules, 5 minutes, thank you. We've held everyone to it. You're just like everybody else. Thank you, please sit down.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I know you know what I'm talking about.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak? Mr. Burry, come forward.
Yeah, John Burry of Kenilworth, and this will be quick, more in a matter of observations. Yeah, this happened to people in this, around the Watchung Reservation, kind of similar to what happened to people in Clark when Oak Ridge Golf Course was closed. Basically, this might be just my theory, but when they put in that cap on spending, and not that the county was very good with it, there had to be projects that had to be built just so that people like CME associates would get paid. So it just so happens that they kind of lit on this bike path, just like they did the dog park, the clubhouse, wedding banquet at Galloping Hill, Rahway football field, even the courthouse. It's just major projects that get doled out. Now, I have no, thing one way or the other about bike paths. I don't really go there a whole lot. But about the only time I saw it didn't work was at Union County College, that football field. There were a lot of people that came in, but to me and then that they moved it somewhere else. There was no field built there. That's the only time that this was ever stopped. So it's in the master plan. It'll probably be built, and CME and whoever builds it will get a ton of money on it. I don't know if you're going to build it through the Union County Improvement Authority, but that might be an idea. Now, another observation is, they'll kind of tell, the Freeholder Board will tell kind of what you want to hear. Like when I heard there's going to be 13 miles of trails built with no trees being cut. I mean, yeah, okay. And as far as what these people could do about it, the thing about political quagmire and the voters will rise up, I mean, that's just silly. I mean, there's 90% Elizabeth, 90% Plainfield. You just can't have enough. Could be nobody in Summit or Mountainside voting for this way. It's just not going to happen. It's an idle threat. So they're going to be around as long as, was it Jerry Green now? Yeah, as long as he gives his okay. So it's nice that these people come out, and there's a chance, maybe 10%, that like the Union County football field. But I see this as a done deal. And no, not that today's wasted. I mean, it's a good back and forth Democrat. It's on the record. And the last thing was about what happens here. I mean, there are people looking. I mean, there was the Westfield Leader, only paper here. I noticed the Star Ledger guy, but he left after the Roselle Park thing. And if you people go to countywatchers.com, there's there. You got the whole history going back, God, it must be 10 years now. So you'll see. And maybe you wouldn't have come out if you knew it was hopeless. So in that way, it's good, but it is hopeless.
Please, no comments from the back. Thank you, Mr. Burry. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of the meeting. Except for a few exceptions, I want to thank everybody for being decorous and not speaking out and allowing the board to hear the comments of everybody. So we greatly appreciate that. Now we will turn to freeholder reports and comments. Freeholder Wright.
Thank you, Chairperson. First, I'd like to thank the members of the board who chosen freeholders for honoring me last month with the Chester Homes Humanitarian Award. It was an honor that I have not taken lightly, because you've encouraged me to keep moving and doing the things that I should be doing. A special thanks also to the staff, in addition to the freeholders, but to those persons who have worked so hard to help make that day very special for me and to my family, and especially to Seb, who also did some very special things. So I ask that each of you continue your work, and I'm very proud of being a part of this group. I do have some more for the Women of Excellence Awards. The Union County Commission on the Status of Women will hold the 25th Annual Women of Excellence Dinner on Friday, March the 24th, in honor of this year's 10 recipients of the Women of Excellence Award. Each year, these awards recognize women's achievement in education, healthcare, the arts, government, business, law, community service, technology, and other fields. Together, our 10 honorees for 2017 demonstrate that women's leadership and advocacy play an essential role throughout the community. If you wish to attend the dinner, there is still one day left to purchase a ticket and reserve your seat. You can contact Ms. Carol Lombardo at 908-789-0508 for more details. That number again is 908-789-0508. Thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Kowalski.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to thank everyone who came to address us tonight, too. Contrary to, whoops, did I contrary to one of the comments that was made, it is worthwhile for you to be here to engage with us. I have, in my years on the Freeholder board, and before that in community affairs in my hometown, I've seen a number of occasions where it appeared that some development might happen, and people spoke out about it, and they were listened to. I'll tell you that we are certainly listening to all of you. I attended the entire meeting on Tuesday night at Trailside, and I have been reading the emails. I'm sorry I haven't answered all of them, but we are paying attention, and I wish we had the resources to maintain the reservation the way it should be maintained. We don't, but we try to do our best. We certainly, I'm sure, could do better. I have to thank the trail stewards and our parks staff who are trying to keep things going there. I'll just promise you that we're going to think very carefully before proceeding any further on this, and please do stay in touch and don't get discouraged. So I have a public service announcement. Earlier today we had a budget hearing where the prosecutor for Union County made a presentation and mentioned the issue of domestic violence, and so I'd like to let people know that our Union County Rape Crisis Center, which is part of our Human Services Department, offers free training courses for volunteers interested in becoming confidential advocates for victims of sexual violence. And that training begins on Tuesday, April 4th. It's extensive training. It goes on for 16 sessions, so it's a commitment to do this. And the people who engage in it are uniquely valued members of the community. So if you want to find out more, please call 908-233-7273. That's 908-233-7273. And again, thanks to everyone for coming tonight, and thanks to my colleagues. Chairman.
Thank you. Freeholder Carter.
Thank you, Chairman. I want to take an opportunity to thank everybody that came out tonight also. We take seriously the work that we do here in Union County, and we appreciate everything and listening to everybody. Unfortunately, some don't believe that we were trying to make sure that all sides are being heard. So that's why I'm glad at least the word has gotten out and we're able to hear all sides before we proceed with anything. I did have a public service announcement, but I think I'll hold it for the next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Freeholder Estrada.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It gives me a great pleasure to thank all of you who have come out tonight. I think it's very critical. You know, government relies on individuals as you to come out and speak your piece in terms of issues. And there's no doubt that there's variations of issues that are in this room. Some have already left, some are still here. The reality is that as elected officials, we listen to things that people say, and we make a determination based on our experience and and trying to be fair with everyone. There's no doubt that for me today was an experience. Now, that's today, but over the last 3 days I've had numerous emails and phone calls of people about this particular issue. I haven't called everybody back. I have done 3 phone calls to 3 different subject matters. And I think that that's important because in the same token, it's first-hand exchange of information. I can truly tell you that as a freeholder sitting in this table today, I don't have all the facts. I don't think all of us have all the facts because we're waiting for reports. Yes, is there an environmental impact? I'm sure there is. This is a reservation that has a lot of value in it in terms of environmental issues. So that's something we need to do. But I also believe that there is a need to have a balanced approach to how we deal with this. I think every constituent here has an area of being recognized for what they are trying to achieve. And it is our job to ensure that we balance it out so that everybody walks away happy, or at least partly happy, of the things they have accomplished. And that's part, I think, what our role should be, and at least I consider that to be my role. There's a couple of things that have been said this evening that's interesting. One was issues about access. The minute that Union County accepts a dollar from Green Acres means that every state resident has a right to utilize our facilities. If you don't know that, let me be the first ones to tell you. The mere fact that we do that in many of our parks and green areas, that means that the whole state of New Jersey can show up to utilize those facilities. And if anybody has any different opinion, please state them, because I think that has been my experience. Let's talk about buffer zones, and I think the gentleman still here who spoke about buffer zones. There is county property and there's your property. Now, we've had over the years numerous cases where we have prosecuted individuals for encroaching into the people's land. And let me make that very clear, because I've been here, like my colleague Al Mirabella, for numerous years, and this is something that we've been working on over the many, many years. We had an individual who decided to build a pool in our property. And of course, guess what? The pool is no longer there. So just so understand, yes, you buy the property because you like the surroundings. True. I live in Elizabeth. I don't have that kind of property close to the, I mean, I'm sure that it's very, very nice, but I understand that that's the people's property, and that we have to respect. Hopefully, we can come to a conclusion as to the buffer quantities or feet or distance between your property and the actual activity that may go on. And I'm sure we're not, in that respect, we're going to be very understanding, but at the same time, there's an overall arching necessity that needs to be done here. That's something that's very important. Access points is another issue that was brought up. The reservation requires access points in terms of emergencies and many other things. And is there enough? Well, I think there's, strategically speaking, there is enough access, and I don't think that will change, but the accesses will be required to be there based on the kind of activities that take place. And I'm sure that emergency management and other people will be looking at this in terms of how to be able to provide assistance if anything should happen. And I know that we have very qualified individuals to do this, but in the same token, access point that exists today, I am sure they'll be there tomorrow as well. We talk about a master plan. A master plan is an idea that we have in trying to develop something. That doesn't mean that that master plan is written in concrete until all the studies that are required are made, which include your participation as well. I'm really amazed and surprised that in terms of the so-called how people perceive, or in actuality may have taken place, that the information is not out there. I'm amazed. If 350 people showed up, take into account the gentleman who made the copies and put them on the cars, maybe over 150 people must have learned that we had something going on at the Trailside Center. I'm sorry that I couldn't make it, but I am sure that that feedback will come back to us, I'm sure. The time is of an essence. We are going through a process that will take some time in order to determine as to what we're going to do going forward. And I can assure you that these decisions are not made, you know, I didn't make the decision when I walked in the door, this is going to happen. No, this is something that we will definitely study. We will definitely look into it in the ways that we can service all our residents' needs. And that has always been my policy. Everybody else may see it differently. But I do appreciate you coming out. I do appreciate the fact is that you're sending us your own personal opinions as to this issue. And that's part of the exchange that needs to take place. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. Freeholder Mirabella.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to speak a little bit about the St. Patrick's Day Parade coming. I hope it's not going to be too cold on Saturday morning. But my colleagues and I are very pleased and proud to support one of the most popular parade events of the year this weekend. Please join us this Saturday, March 11th, from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the annual St. Patrick's Day Parade on Morris Avenue in the Township of Union. This family-friendly festivities kicks off at 12 o'clock and in the reviewing stand at the corner of Morris and Stuyvesant Avenues in Union Center, with warm Irish welcome from parade officials, traditional Irish dancing, and Irish music. The 1 Mile Parade will begin at 1 o'clock at the intersection of Morris Avenue and Commerce Street. The parade will feature many high school bands in Union County from Union Township, Roosevelt Park, Governor Livingston High School, and many bagpipes, as you can well imagine. The parade will also feature a kids zone with rides and games and activities for the children. This parade is dedicated to the Catholic schools in Union County. Please join us for that day, and if you require additional information, please visit ucpatsday.com. I do want to add a couple of comments. Before I get to my thoughts on the reservation, I do want to extend my additional congratulations to Freeholder Wright. I was there, and I know many freeholders were there that evening when she was honored with the Chester Holmes Award. Truly deserved freeholder for that award and your great dedication to the public in Union County. And I always get a chance to think of Freeholder Holmes, who was a colleague of mine. I'm sure, I think Freeholder Kowalski and Freeholder Estrada back from the day, and just what he represented back in his public service and the way you've exemplified that has just been terrific. So congratulations again. As far as the reservation, you know, we're taking all this information in. We've heard a considerable amount of information tonight and in other nights. You know, I have looked at it as a large reservation, someplace that could be shared. Perhaps there's some way to compromise on some kind of trails, or to kind of work together as a community and find some space. So that's the position I am with right now. We're going to make the best decision for the most amount of people. I think that's how I approach all my decisions here as a freeholder and before. So you take this information, you do what you can, you try to please as many people, knowing that everyone can't be pleased all the time. I do want to take a minute just to also recognize the great effort of Director Zuber. He has been just a real hard-working director and public servant, and he's been very, you know, criticized in the past. But I can tell you, his heart is in this park system. His heart is with the people that use this park system. And I know it's tough, Director. I know it's tough for us sometimes too. But I want to thank you for your hard work and your diligence. So keep up the good work. And more to follow. So more to follow, and we'll keep this dialogue open. I'm glad it was opened up. Whether people were happy with how it was opened up, I'm not exactly sure, but now that it's open, I'm sure we'll keep talking about it. So thanks for coming out tonight.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Freeholder. County Council, any comments?
No comments, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a couple comments. First of all, Freeholder Wright, I just want to congratulate you. It's been an honor and privilege to work for you. I'm looking forward to working for you for the remainder of the year for both of us. We still have some more work to do before we go. Absolutely. Just a couple of things from me. I apologize that I wasn't able to attend the meeting the other day, but I just want to clarify a couple of points that were made on, and I had heard and seen that there is $480,000 of county dollars that are going to be spent for maintenance, the construction of this trail. In the budget that I presented, there was no request for $480,000 or any additional dollars other than the dollars that we request for park maintenance overall. So I just wanted to make that point. Another comment that was made was relative to the budget request for a 4% increase for salaries. Yes, it is correct that most of that was asked for new workers. As a matter of fact, request for 3 additional members of our tree gang, because I know that we don't get to all the trees. I know that. We haven't caught up from Sandy. Ron and his people do the best we can, but I know we're behind. Do we do maintenance? Yeah, we do. Do we do enough? No. Should there be more? Yes. And again, part of that budget request was to have additional staff hired specifically with tree experience and to fill that role. So I just wanted to make those comments, and again, just express my thanks to everyone for making their voices heard today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, County Manager. I unfortunately did not have the opportunity, because of a conflict, to be at the event when Freeholder Wright received her award, but I do want to add my congratulations to everyone else's, and also say how well deserved it is, and how much I've been honored to serve with you on this board. I'm just going to mention one other program that the freeholders are just wrapping up, which we started last year. It's called Seniors in Motion. It is a grant program to our municipalities to provide them with vans for transporting their seniors in and around their towns. Over the course of the end of last year and the last 2 months, 8 municipalities have requested and received 12 passenger vans, and 10 have received 15 passenger vans. And the big difference is the smaller ones you don't need a CDL driver's license to drive those. So it gives them a little more flexibility. So we give the municipalities the opportunity to choose which they want. This is a program we had done, I think, about 10 years ago. It seemed like it was time to do it again. The municipalities are always in need of vans to help transport their seniors around. The communities are responsible for insurance maintenance and the drivers while they have the van. It is a way of the freeholders recognizing how important to our county our senior residents are. So I'm very glad that that's been successful, and we look forward to many years of our seniors and our municipalities enjoying those vans. That being said, I will ask for a motion to
So
adjourn.
moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Aye.
All in favor? Thank you all again for coming.